Today we're going to learn how to find distance between 2 points using the Pythagorean theorem. This is definitely not the only way to find distance between 2 points, but in the 8th grade core, this is what's required. So first and foremost, let's go through a quick reminder of the Pythagorean theorem. In the Pythagorean theorem, I have 2 legs, remember, that are both A and B, and a hypotenuse that's called C. If I take the square of my 2 legs, so A squared and B squared, and add them together, it's going to equal the square of my hypotenuse. If you don't remember how that works, go back and watch the video on Pythagorean theorem. So very quickly, if A was 3 and B was 4, and I need to know C, I can say that 3 squared plus 4 squared equals C squared. So I have 9 and 16. Combining like terms gives me 25 equals C squared. And remember, the opposite of a square is a square root. So to get rid of the square, I square root both sides. The square root of C squared is C, and the square root of 25 is 5. My missing hypotenuse length is 5. So now that we know the theorem, we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem to help us be able to find the distance between 2 points, because sometimes distance isn't easy to find. We're going to find the distance between point A and point B. And to do that, we're going to call upon a couple of lines here. Regardless of what 2 points we're talking about, what we're going to do is we're going to create a right triangle from those points. I'm going to create a vertical and a horizontal line going from point to point, and then a line that connects the 2 points directly. Can you see how we just made a right triangle? That right triangle is going to help us find this distance, because now I have legs A and B, and I have a hypotenuse that's C, and that's the distance between the 2 points. That's the length that we need to find. So the distance of my legs, we can pretty much count those. The length of leg A, I can start at this point up here, and I can see that it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The length of leg A is 10. I can also say that I'm going from -3 to 7, and from -3 to 7, I have to add 10 to get there. Leg B, we're starting here at -5 and going to 7. That gives me 5 on this side, 7 on this side. Leg B has a length of 12. I can also count it out. Starting at point A, I go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I'm going to use the Pythagorean theorem then to help me do that. I'm going to redraw in the line so it's a little easier for you to see. Again, if you count this out, side A has a length of 10, side B has a length of 12, and we're looking for the hypotenuse C. So I'm going to put this into the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. I'm going to do 10 squared plus 12 squared equals c squared. That's going to give me 100 plus 144 equals c squared. Combining like terms, I'm going to switch this around. I'm going to get c squared is equal to 244. What's the last step to go from c squared to c? I have to square root. So square root of 244, that's not quite as easy to find. So this is where your calculator is going to come in handy for us. We're going to take the square root of 244. For now, we're going to round to the nearest tenth. So c is going to be that 15.6 units long. Sometimes we'll be given units, so centimeters, inches, feet, miles, whatever units they're going to give us. If units are missing, we're going to put the word units in their place, just so that we can remember never to forget our units. This line is 15.6 units long, and that's how long it would take me to get from A to B. Let's try it with another example. I'm looking for the distance from A to B. I'm going to create a right triangle going from point to point. So now I can count side B and side A, my two legs. Side A, side B. Side A, going from -2 to 6, gives me a length of 8. You can count it out if you need to. Side B is going from -3 to 5. That's also a length of 8. So in my Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, I'm going to put in 8 squared plus 8 squared equals c squared. That's going to give me 64 and 64. That's going to leave me with c squared equals 128. And how do I get from c squared to c? Square root. So I'm going to bring out the calculator, and I'm going to do square root of 128. And if I round to the nearest tenth, I get 11.3. C is 11.3 units long. 11.3 units. Going from point A to point B. If you count that out, it's kind of hard to tell because it's on a diagonal. So we're going to have to use our theorem to help us find that length. One more. Let's try going from -6, 0 to 0, 8. I'm going to draw in my right triangle. It doesn't matter if you draw this triangle above or below. It's going to come out the same either way. So from -6 to 0, this side has a side of 6, or has a length of 6. From 0 to 8, this is 8 units long. And I'm looking for the hypotenuse, of course. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared is now going to be 8 squared plus 6 squared equals c squared. It doesn't matter what order you have the 8 and the 6 in. That's going to give us 64 plus 36 equals c squared, which means c squared is equal to 100. And last step is to square root. C is going to be 10. 10 units long. That hypotenuse, or the distance from point A to point B, is 10 units. All right. Remember to write down any questions so that you can ask me tomorrow in class. It's important that you write down the examples and definitions in your journal. Tomorrow in class, we're going to be doing the worksheet, Distance Using Pythagorean Theorem. Have fun, and I'll see you tomorrow.